help build the kid and see if we can get him to a world title.
But again, I do want to fight Dricus, but he has to know he's not calling the shots here. That's the thing. I am.
What they want to do and what they have and their personal beef has nothing to do with it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside the Cage, where we bring you the latest and exciting updates of UFC. First, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Dana White backs Irish boxer Callum Walsh's world title ambitions. Here, it's interesting to know that how even Dana White isn't exactly a big figure in the boxing world. And guess what? He still seems to have his favorites, like King Callum Walsh. However, this young prospect is making a name for himself in the sport. Whereas Dana White's been showing some serious support for him since around 2022. It's like he's become a regular at Walsh's fights, and he even caught his most recent victory over Wesley Tucker in the spring. Can you believe it? Walsh has been on a winning streak for 7 fights straight, and you won't believe the enthusiasm Dana White has for this guy.
You know, Freddie's at a point in his career, he isn't working with anybody that he doesn't think has serious potential.
He continued,
Callum is a very talented guy. He's got unbelievable knockout power.
In fact, Dana White is a die-hard fan of Walsh, and he has plans to support him for life. Then he added,
What I love about the way they're moving this kid is fighting real guys with real records.
His statements showed how admired he is by the personality of Walsh.
We're going to help build the kid and see if we can get him to a world title.
Back in the days of 2017, there was a huge showdown between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. At that time, Dana White was right there in the mix. I mean, it was one of the biggest boxing pay-per-views in recent history, maybe even of all time. But you know what's interesting? Even though there's been talk about Dana diving into boxing, but he hasn't quite made that jump into full-on boxing promotion, it's like he's hanging around the edges, teasing us with the idea. Pretty cool, right? Adesanya points to UFC's concerns over Strickland for UFC 293. Did you hear about Israel Adesanya and all the drama around his upcoming fight? So UFC 293 is heading to Sydney, Australia on September 9th, and it's shaping up to be a big deal. The main event is none other than Israel Adesanya defending his middleweight title against the always controversial Sean Strickland. But originally, Adesanya had his sights set on facing Dricus du Plessis. Here, a U-turn exists. Du Plessis couldn't swing a quick turnaround after knocking out Robert Whittaker at UFC 290. However, the UFC had a little bit of a panic moment to find a replacement for the title fight. And who do they turn to? None other than Sean Strickland. But guess what? Adesanya was actually the one who advocated for Strickland to get the nod. Yeah, he was all about it. He even spilled the beans in an interview.
He's an idiot, and the UFC don't want him embarrassing the company. But yeah, that's all I'll say about that. So you should thank me. You should really thank me for actually making him get the fight. I pushed for it. He knows what happened behind the scenes, and I pushed for it, and I'm glad the UFC trusted me to listen to me.
Even though Sean Strickland was kind of a last-minute addition to the main event, Israel Adesanya's coach, Eugene Behrman, wasn't really fazed by it. But you know what Behrman said? He shrugged it off. He mentioned that it didn't really matter who the UFC threw in front of them. It's like they're focused on the date and the challenge ahead, rather than getting too hung up on who the opponent is.
We concentrated on the date, and we talked about that very early on. We're like, look, we got, at this stage, there's no opponent locked in, but it don't matter. Just put a name on a bit of paper and put it in front of us, and we'll be there on the date.
Now, the whole ongoing saga seems like the promotion was worried about Strickland, which is causing a stir, especially on such a big stage. Man, this whole situation's got layers, doesn't it? Bridges reveals McGregor's approach before incredible photo. In the past development of rumors between Ebony Bridges and Conor McGregor, there is something that happens again. You know, they were like the stars of the show on Saturday night. At that moment, McGregor and Bridges were right there, front and center, at the O2 Arena to check out Anthony Joshua's fight. I mean, talk about celebrity power, right? McGregor had this genius move up his sleeve. He's got this new business venture, Forged Irish Stout, and he had Bridges all decked out in shorts with the branding. It was like, boom, an instant promotion for sure. But here's the main story. They did this whole marketing thing that got everyone talking. McGregor was all in, even sharing a sip of his beer with Anthony Joshua in the ring, and the photo of these two actually broke the internet. But wait, Bridges spilled the beans about it. They couldn't stop writing about me and him. He's a smart businessman. He always makes good business moves. Being a friend, I want to support his brand as well. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to be part of the team and help promote my stout?" She added, "It's just business, really. He knows exactly what I'm worth, and I'm a valuable asset to his brand. We're everywhere. We're going to work together more in the future, so keep your eye out." However, Ebony Bridges is teasing that McGregor might just back one of her fights down the road. Now, speaking of Bridges' fights, in December 2022, she stepped into the ring and left it with a victory against Shannon O'Connell. So we're all just kind of waiting for her to get back into the game. And who knows, maybe things could get even more exciting. Guys, we'd love your support if you're enjoying the video. Just hit that subscribe button to motivate us to bring you more exciting content. Adesanya warns du Plessis for title opportunity. Recently, Adesanya's out here giving a little warning to du Plessis. Back at UFC 290, Adesanya and du Plessis had this face-off after du Plessis took down Robert Whittaker. But then comes the twist. Du Plessis wasn't quite ready for UFC 293, and Strickland steps in. Bam! And now Adesanya's in on this too. He's chatting about it in an interview.
Definitely. But again, I do want to fight Drickus, but he has to know he's not calling the shots here. That's the thing. I am. So, again, a guy who, oh, my foot is this, my foot's that. Yeah, look at me. My foot's a balloon. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Now you can know what's really on the line for Israel Adesanya. It's like he's out there trying to solidify his spot as one of the all-time greats in UFC history. I mean, think about it. If he manages to take down Strickland in Australia, and if Dricus du Plessis can stay in good health, we might just be looking at a showdown between these two. And trust me, that's one rivalry that's been heating up like crazy. It can be going in the straight right way that can be changed to the whole story. Now, what do you figure would go down if Adesanya and du Plessis finally square off? So, it's one of those moments that could make MMA history, and we're here for it. McGregor, Fanny, and Garry teams up with Jake Paul. Not my thing. In the last, Garry is making waves in the world of UFC. And guess what? He's all set to go up against Neil Magny in the welterweight showdown at UFC 292, and he's aiming high. But here's the thing. He was initially set to go head-to-head with Jeff Neal, but last-minute changes shook things up. Furthermore, Garry, who has been shouting from the rooftops about being Conor McGregor's biggest fan, has just signed a deal with none other than Jake Paul. Like, seriously, man? Everyone's curious how this happened. He recently spilled the beans during an interview with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour.
I am Conor's biggest fan. I am literally the first fighter of a generation to make it to the UFC because of Conor's rise, right? What they want to do and what they have and their personal beef has nothing to do with it. Do you know what I mean? If you have two friends that don't get on, if you have two people that you know that don't get on, you can still be friends with both. You can still do business with both. You can still talk to both. You can still go over to both of their houses and have dinner. What they have has nothing to do with me.
Fair. Okay, fair enough.
That's called being an adult.
So, my fight fellows, it's clear that the MMA world is full of surprises and unexpected twists, and Garry's thrown us a curveball with this one. Now, who knows, but maybe he's got some tricks up his sleeve that we're yet to see unfold. All right, guys, that's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. See you at the next one. Until then, goodbye.